Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the kickoff of our third year of the 1883 Speaker Series. My name is Cassie Gerhardt, and I am here today representing my colleagues in student involvement and parent programs. For those of you keeping track, today's presentation marks the 47th installment of the 1883 Speaker Series, which means with 46 presentations to date, there are over 891 minutes and 38 seconds, probably a little longer because some people haven't observed the 1883, I've been reminded, but 891 minutes and 38 seconds of leadership lessons and advice to guide our personal and professional development available for you to review online. So check those out if there's some past presentations you want to see. We are excited for today's speaker to further expand our understanding and thoughts on leadership. Please join me in welcoming the head coach of the UND men's hockey team, Coach Dane Jackson.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, thanks for having me today, you guys. Feel privileged for you guys to come and spend a little time with me. I'll try to be right on with the 19 minutes or whatever it is today. But basically, I just want to pass on some of the things that I've learned along the way. A lot of the stuff from North Dakota, people that I've met and worked with here. Give you a little bit of background, then I'll kind of mainly talk about leadership here. I was kind of grew up in Castlegar, British Columbia, small town about over 1,000 miles away from here. I first heard about the University of North Dakota in a Sports Illustrated. I read about Tony Herkus and Bob Joyce, Eddie Belfour, winning a national championship in 1987, and Gino Gasparini coached them up to a national championship. And I said, that's a place I want to go play. That fall, I was playing junior hockey a few hours away from my home, and Kerry Eads and Dean Blais recruited me. Gino Gasparini came out. They had me on a visit to North Dakota in February. It was a blizzard, and I was sold right away. I wanted to come to UND. Basically, had 4 unbelievable years playing here. Great coaches. Gino Gasparini was unbelievable. Blazer and Bertie were awesome guys to learn from, and basically had an outstanding experience. The guys that I went to battle with in those 4 years are still good friends of mine years and years later. Basically went on and played 11 years pro after that. Played mainly in the American League, but I played a little bit with the Vancouver Canucks, the Buffalo Sabres, and the New York Islanders. Had a lot of great coaches along the way there as well. Coached for a few years pro out in the Northeast. And then Dave Hakstol invited me to come back to coach here in kind of the fall of 2006. Dave and I were good friends. We played together and jumped on that opportunity. And I married, my wife she's from Bismarck. I met her at UND. So a ton of ties and huge influence of people at North Dakota have had on me. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the people that have kind of taught me about leadership. You know, I've heard the saying, oh, that guy's a born leader. And I think that's kind of BS in my opinion. I think leadership is kind of learned, it's practiced, it's developed. And I've been fortunate to come across a lot of really good leaders, really good people. And a lot of them are right here at UND. You know, I'll start really at home really quickly. My mom, she was a teacher. She taught me a love of reading, and she had a huge belief, just a positive person. When I was a little kid, I said, Mom, do you think I could play in the NHL? She said, absolutely, without a hesitation. My dad never got a college degree, but he was a leader of men. He ended up being president of his union up in British Columbia. Might be one of the smartest guys I ever met. I think he's read every book in the Castlegar library. He taught me about kind of work and just showing up and being accountable. But basically, a really big leader that I learned from was Gino Gasparini. UND hockey won about 2 national titles in about their first 30 years of existence. And Gino was an assistant coach, and he took over right in the late 70s. And he won 3 national titles in about 9 years. He was an extremely influential person. I kind of think he's like the godfather of North Dakota hockey. He taught us about what it meant. He was an extremely fiery Italian man. Taught us about competing, talking about never taking no for an answer, like just absolutely a strong-willed person. Showed us a lot. We learned a ton from Gino. Dean Blais was our associate coach. He might have been one of the most confident, most kind of self-assured people I've ever met. Always just believed what he thought in his gut was the right way. Remember him and Hack telling me a story about in 2001. They were down 2-0 at Boston College in the third period. Blazer came down to Hack, said, Hack, I'm thinking about pulling the goalie. It was 9 minutes left. Hack said, hell no. Are you kidding me? We're not pulling our goalie yet. So a few minutes later, he looked down. Blazer was pulling the goalie out. They pulled their goalie. There was 6 minutes left. Nobody did that back then. Scored 2 goals. They went to overtime. They ended up losing, but it was Blazer just trusting his gut. So I kind of learned that from him. Other guys along the way that I've learned from, obviously Dave Hakstol. Dave was a good friend of mine. When I came back to coach with him years later after playing pro, I was kind of amazed at his level of preparation and professionalism. He would put 2 hours into having a 5-minute meeting just to make sure everything was nailed down. Every video presentation was dialed in. The other thing I learned from Hack is his kind of ability to lean in to adversity. You know, when crap was hitting the fan, everybody in town was kind of ticked off at us. We were losing. Hardest moments, Hack would just rise up, most calm, most dialed, and he'd just love it. He would just revel in it. He'd be like, everybody thinks we're done. Now is when we're going to coach our hardest. He was unbelievable leader that way. Another thing I remember Hack talking about too, he had left UND, first college coach to go coach in the National League in a long time. And, you know, he's coaching guys that were making $8 million a year. They said they had all these, you know, I played 82 games, have a bad loss or something like that in New Jersey. And he said, I let little things slip. We'd have a game the next day against the New York Rangers, and sometimes I wouldn't address things. And when he was talking about culture, he's like, Jax, never let little things slip. Every chance you have to address, you know, behavior that's not to the level. If guys are not working, if guys are not treating each other the right way, address it all the time. He just said, those little things matter. Never sweep things under the rug. Never let it go unsaid. And, you know, we have a saying up in our coaches' room now that we just put up. And we said, if you're not coaching it, you're letting it happen. If you're not coaching it, you're letting it happen. So when you see something and it's not to the standard, I tell our staff all the time, we say something, we address it. You stop practice, you stop the workout, you stop guys on a bus, how they're talking and what they're doing, and you address it and say, that's not the standard. We stand up for the standard in North Dakota. It's a huge deal. People talk about culture a lot. It is easy to talk about. It's hard to do. It's kind of a day-to-day thing of relentlessly pursuing that kind of standard, that level. And it's something we talk about a ton here. I've learned from guys that have come ahead before me. One of the other coaches that I had was extremely influential on me is a guy named John Tortorella. Coached a long, long time in the NHL. Won a gold medal. Won a Calder Cup. Won a Stanley Cup. I was with John in his first year when he was first year coaching as a head coach. And I came to Rochester that year. I got signed there. And John made me his captain. And our team was doing very poorly. We had a pretty good team, pretty good players, but we were not a good team. And Christmas time, we had lost a couple games. And he grabbed me. He's like, Jax, you're doing a horseshit job as captain. You better go in there and fix it. And I was like, ooh, that sounds like a tough task. So anyways, we had one of those come to Jesus meetings. And I thought I was going to fight with this one guy in our room. We got a kind of a group of new guys and a group of guys that had kind of been there. We were kind of going back and forth at it, and we basically came to this decision that whatever we're doing now is not working, so we better start coming together and figuring things out. So I had a home in town, and I said, all right, Sunday nights, everybody's got to come over. You got to come over for 1 hour and have a beer, bring some food to pass, and we could be hanging out a little bit. First time we did it, some of the guys that are on the other side of the team or didn't like me very much, I guess. They came for about 1 hour and left. But then we started doing it every week. Guys started staying a little longer. And we started to learn about the other guys. We started to kind of figure out how they saw things, why they said, oh, we got to do things with tradition, and how some of the new guys were wanting to do things. And we kind of came to understand and got to know each other on a personal level, got to know their wives and their kids and what we were all going through and all of our stuff. And we ended up having a hell of a year in the second half. We ended up going to the Calder Cup final, and we won the final game. Grab quick water. I learned a lot from Tortorella. He was an extremely hard man. Really tough. Really, really hard. But he cared about us a lot. And after we won, we'd kind of whooped it up for a few days there. And he lived in Buffalo. He drove back and forth from Buffalo about an hour away. And he said, Jax, hey, will you come and come hang out with me for a night and have some wine and see my family and talk about the win? And I learned like what a man he was as far as how much he cared about us. And that's something that I really took away from leadership is you have to know people on a baseline level. Dan Quinn, who coaches in the NFL, I better get my glasses out so I read it right. He says, you can only coach someone to the depth of your relationship with them. The better you know them, the harder you can coach them. If it's a surface level relationship, it will be surface level coaching. That really impacted me. I kind of figured, you know what? You get to know somebody, and you can challenge them and be hard if you really know them and care about them, and they'll know that you care about them. So my ideas on leadership, I've told you about some of my favorite leaders. Basically, I think you have to model behavior, right? It's not what you say, it's what you do. And I think if you're prepared, if you're there first at the rink, last to leave, if you're the one that's going on road trips and showing your staff that you're willing to do the work, if you kind of live it, guys will come with you, you know? I think also if you show them that you're invested in them, if you're invested in your staff, you're invested in your players, you're helping them, you want them to go on and get new jobs, you want your players to go on. I remember when Johnny Taves came in after 2 years and said, hey, I'm leaving to go sign with the Chicago Blackhawks. He was dying inside. He felt like he was leaving us. We hadn't won a national title. And we're like, Johnny, hey, man, you gave everything to us. You deserve to go. We're just so proud of him, so happy for him. So when you invest and help with people, they are, if you work and kind of show that you have a care for them and you're invested in them, they will absolutely go to the wall for you. I also think that part about just knowing people. I talked about my John Tortorella story. I always have our staff in my home. I bring my kids to the rink. I hope our staff brings their kids to the rink to be around. I ask our players to bring their parents to the rink on Sundays and walk through and see what we're doing there. We put in a ton of effort. Our staff does, our players do, huge sacrifices. And when, your parents or kids or wives can come and be around a little bit and kind of be part of something special, that's pretty neat when you can share it with them. And when you kind of show people like how much you care about them and are connected with them, they'll go to the wall for you. I know that. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about, I call it the NoDak Way, about kind of our culture that we learned from Gino Gasparini. We've kind of always built our team differently, I think, here at North Dakota. We always kind of pick the man, guys that are gamers, guys that are leaders, guys that are glue guys. You still need good players, obviously, but guys that kind of have those kind of intangibles of adversity and kind of handling adversity, because we always know adversity is going to hit. And that's kind of the measure of a man, is what you do when the adversity hits, And so, I talked about our players a little bit, and I say, basically, it kind of starts with who you are. Who you are is kind of more important than what you do. Character is kind of a accumulation of your thoughts and priorities, and those thoughts and priorities are kind of lead you to the choices you make. And the choices you make are kind of who you are. And if you're an accountable, a reliable, kind of responsible person, you do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to be done. We think that we have a ton of those guys in our room because we put a lot of work into finding those guys. The captains, the leaders, the glue guys. One of the other things when you start with really good people is kind of, we want mentally and physically tough guys. It's a hard sport. We say too much is given, much is expected. And our guys are given a lot. We're given a lot. And we feel like we owe a lot to our university, our city, and our state for the stuff that we get given. We walk into that Ralph Engelstad Arena every day, and it's humbling to know about this place was built for us to play hockey here. And so I talk to our guys about being humble, but being tough, and mainly mentally tough. There's a lot of nights when we lose, and there's a lot of people ticked off at us saying, we're not doing the right things, right? Well, we know what we do on a day-to-day basis. There's going to be losses along the way, but we kind of know if we have that kind of balance of a day-to-day workload, we'll be fine. I remember in some of our biggest games in our national championship year, two of our most competitive guys, Troy Stetcher and Drake Kajula. They were hard, tough young men. And I remember one time I was challenged and I was giving it to them pretty good on our penalty kill. And those guys would just lean in. They'd be rocking in their chairs, just staring at me. I could just tell what they were saying to me with their eyes. But those guys, you knew that they were going to go out. They couldn't wait to go out and show you that they were willing to block a shot for their team or do what it took to win. That's mental toughness. We talk a lot about grit. Some people think grit is actually kind of it's actually the long haul, doing stuff over the long haul. Guys have grit, guys that show up all the time, day in, day out, every dayers, guys you can count on, guys that are reliable no matter what. They're going to come, they're going to show up, they're going to work. Those are guys you win with. We want guys with grit. And lastly, we want team first guys. So generally when you talk about team first, you think you have to give away something of yourself, right? You're asking to give some of your own accolades, and do something for the team. What I've kind of learned over the years of coaching at UND and then pro is you actually build your brand when you're known as a selfless person. Matt Green is a great example of that. Matt Green was a second-round NHL draft pick. He had 9 points, I think, his junior year. He was a stay-at-home, tough defenseman, but a great leader. Crap would be hitting the fan. He'd stand up at the bench board. Boys, we got this. We got good players. We know what we're doing. We got this. Stay together. And we would. Matt Green went on and played over 600 games in the NHL, won 2 Stanley Cups, and made $25 million. He didn't make it because he was a high-level skilled player. They paid him, and he won because he was the man. He had that selflessness, that character, that grit. He had those qualities. That stuff you win with. Guys that run NHL teams and are coaches and general managers, they know that. They know that you win with guys like that. We're trying to have guys like that on our team. We spend a lot of time and effort to kind of find players of that magnitude. Some of the great players that I've learned from as well, Johnny Taves. Johnny, extremely dialed in, focused guy that would go to bed at 9 o'clock at night just so he could get up early and go shoot pucks and get better at his craft. Just dialed in on the process, on the day-to-day of getting better. He was drafted 3rd overall. Didn't really care about that. Just focused on the getting better, the grinding, the adding to this team to win. Won 3 Stanley Cups, one of the greatest leaders in NHL history. He was a guy that kind of hated to lose. He would push guys up to come with him. A little bit kind of like Michael Jordan. It was kind of tough on his teammates at times, but he would just be like, you had to get to Johnny's standard. TJ Oshie, different cat, man. He probably had too much fun in college. But you know what? Great leader. He'd come to the rink every day. Sometimes maybe he's a little nicked up, but you know what? He was there shooting pucks early, ready to go. And he led with joy. He led with positivity of having fun and whooping it up, challenging guys. He was always there to lead, and he pulled with you. He loved to win. He'd pull guys with him. Guys wanted to follow him. Great leadership, 2 totally different styles. You know, we talk about with our guys about just being part of something bigger than ourselves, right? A lot of us are trying to build what we're doing, make more money, I guess, whatever. But as you get older, you kind of go, I want to be part of something cool. And we are part of something so cool here at the University of North Dakota. You guys are all part of us because you're this group that supports us and has by far and away the best fan base in college hockey. All right, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about kind of our process now. Kind of talked about having great people, starting with that, with the man, the person, the character-filled guy. So we know if we have a bunch of those guys on our staff and in our room that are good people that care about each other and are willing to work for the group. Now we kind of say, hey, what's our process? What's our day-to-day? How do we get better every day? And basically, you know, we talked a lot about this. And we just said, okay, well, it basically comes down to our meetings got to be concise. We talk with our players. We say it's never longer than 10 minutes. Hopefully you guys got better attention span. You're listening to me for 20. But we say to our guys, we keep them 10 minutes or less. Keep it short, keep it close. We say, hey, we got to be organized in meetings and be super dialed. And we got to have great practices. We got to be, we got to be dialed in. Every little thing we're talking about, we'll stop practice. Say, hey, we checked the guy, their stick in the air. Our stick's got to be on the ice. We didn't call for a puck. We're going to stop it. Hey, we got to call for a puck. We got to talk out there. All these little things we're going to build in. So when we're playing out in Vegas in April, it's just built in. It's just how we do everything. There's not a question that what we're doing. We just build it in every day, 196 days, whatever it is, the season long. We're going to be doing it every day. It's from their biggest games. It'll be built into us. And then obviously, if we have great meetings, great practices, I know Pooley and John Fitzgerald in our gym are going to be grinding our guys. They're going to be not just going through the motions. You don't just get through the workout. You do your workout as hard as you can so that we're at the highest level of fitness in college hockey. We kind of feel like if we take care of all those things, the wins will take care of themselves. There's going to be times when we lose, but it's like, hey, as long as we're doing our stuff the right way, we got great people, we got a great process, the wins will take care of themselves. You know, this is our competitive advantage, our day-to-day. We talk about it every day. And again, this was just day 2 in practice, but the guys have been working out here for 6 weeks in the summer. So we talk about that. This is our chance to get just like a 0.5% better than the other team. And if we keep stacking up good days, at the end, we're going to be ahead of other teams. How we do anything is how we do everything. How we do anything is how we do everything. So if we're cheating, not going to school, probably going to cheat in the gym, probably going to cheat in practice. So it's just like, do the right things all the time, all the right ways. Last year, Western Michigan was ranked 17th preseason poll. They ended up being national champions. So the polls basically are basically a thought of how much you've accumulated talent, how many good players you've kind of put together and brought together. But then the team that wins is the team that's the best team. The team that comes together, sacrifices the most, improves the most, does things together the right way, and kind of basically gives everything for the group. Western Michigan did the best job of that. So we've challenged our guys. I don't really care if we're ranked 9th or ranked 20th. It really doesn't matter. It's what we're willing to do day by day by day, how selfless, how much sacrifice, how much grit we have over the long haul to kind of improve our team. The last thing I'm going to talk to you about is just a little bit of the kind of process we went through this spring. We went through a hard thing, as Bill Chaves says sometimes, you don't just learn in the classroom, right? You learn going through day-to-day struggles and different things. So when the change was made, we had a tough week. Last week of March was a tough week. This day and age, kids are getting offered money to play elsewhere. There's a transfer portal. They got agents, people calling them, coaches from other teams calling them. Kind of saw, there's a bit of a weakness at North Dakota. So as a staff, we'd left a few spots open to maybe get guys to come in, and we lost a few more guys that weren't quite dialed in and wanted to be here. So that was fine. Kind of felt like it was a clear delineation of guys that didn't want to be here and guys that did. But at the end of the day, we only had about 12 players left. We carried 27. So we had a huge hole in our group. We had guys that had graduated as well. And we sat there a little bit, basically Simpson and I at the time, and got Bryn Chiswick on staff, and Dave Hakstol would come into the war room sometimes, chat with us about what we were going through. And we just said, hey, what do we believe in? What's going to make us a great team? And we kind of talked about the stuff we'd learned from Gino. And we talked about getting tough guys, good kids. And we sat in the kitchens across North America, went and scouted, recruited, talked to people, told them about our vision, told them about our plan, told them about what we wanted to do, about kids that wanted to be a part of this. And when we did that, people resonated. People said, yeah, I believe in you, I remember having a meeting with Dylan James. Dylan James offered an NHL contract with the Detroit Red Wings. I said, well, do you want to go, Dylan? Are you ready to go? He said, I don't want to go. I want to get my degree, and I want to stay here and grind it out and be part of something good. But he's like, I'm really concerned about how good our team's going to be. Got to be honest. I said, you know what, DJ? I said, just trust us. Trust us that we'll have your back. We'll get good players in here, and you'll be part of the leadership that'll do that. And he said, all right. Jake Livanovich said the same thing. So one by one, we kind of talked about all of our guys that had a chance to leave. Those guys stayed. They were character guys that said, I believe in the program. I want to be here. And we started going out and finding people. We didn't find our last person till about, I think around the 12th of August. We're usually done at the end of April. Got a kid named Ollie Josephson at the World Junior Trials for Canada. He was the captain of the Red Deer Rebels. He came down, told him about our culture, what we're doing. He said, I want to come. He was our last player, and he's going to be a hell of a player. He'll be a captain for us someday. So basically, what I've kind of said in my leadership and what we've kind of gone through is there's lots of different ways to lead. But if you model behavior, you care about your people, you invest in them, and you work with them, and you're genuine, I think that's leadership. I've learned that all from UND, and I appreciate you guys coming and watching me today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Coach Jackson, for kicking off a great series for us. Join us again in 2 weeks when, in conjunction with Homecoming, we are going to feature Sarah Prout, the Vice President for Marketing and Communications with the UND Alumni Association and Foundation. Thanks again to Coach Jackson, and here's to a great season for the hockey program. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks.